All right, hello, welcome to Wonder Wednesday, and I'm Lucy Colangelo. I am so excited to record today. It's going to be a really interesting episode. What I want to do is share with everyone what I'm up to, what my intentions are, what I'm planning on launching in the coming months. And I think it's just really important to really ground down into what these impulses are that I have to create these tools and what my plans are with Shine On. I just want to kind of go over it and take us on a little journey for how this all came to be, maybe a little storytelling. So, if you're really into all those kinds of behind the scenes details, this is the episode for you. So, let's start with my why. Lately, I love saying that I'm helping you absolutely love who you are becoming to get clear on your next move. So it's interesting. I've come into this world. I went to school for marketing and communications. I was always into researching and being a very investigative, kind of curious, inquisitive mind. And I noticed some themes and patterns emerging in how I talk to people. And this has been going on for a very long time. I haven't been in formal school for a couple decades now. I don't mind saying that. It's okay. It's the last millennium that I was in school, but there's a pattern that emerged with people. And I think that that's a value to share and illuminate, especially for young people. You're going to notice a lot of my content is geared towards the up and comers, the new generation, the teens, the young adults, because these patterns are unmistakable. And I also notice that it's how we talk. And I've nicknamed it clarity mapping, but I believe that we actually talk in clarity map and we explain ourselves in clarity map. So it's interesting when people get into this work with me, they start to listen to their world like that, and even songs by musicians and just different expressions. There's a story, there's a narrative, there's a pattern going on there. So that's what I teach, and it's very empowering. And all that's required to get into this work is a willingness and a curiosity to explore, you know, explore the answers to some common questions. If you are in a stage in your life where you're sitting there asking yourself, what is my life? So it's a really big question. And I find it really interesting that wherever you go, people say, well, that's the hardest question to answer. It's the most difficult work you'll ever do. It is the most difficult work you'll ever do. Absolutely. Truly diving deep into yourself and understanding who you are, what you're here to do it is the deepest work, but it's also the most rewarding, and it takes your life to levels that you probably couldn't have imagined. That's what's happening for me. I'm a living example. I've imagined this world for myself, but I've imagined it for all of us. It's something that enlivens and inspires me and also fulfills my purpose. So if I help you in any way find your way to your purpose, I'm checking a box. You could check that box. I'm checking it too. We're in this together. So, yeah, I don't think it's that difficult to see the pattern. And maybe that's my gift, but I see a pattern in what it is to know ourselves. And all you have to do is get curious. So if you're a curious soul and you want to know yourself, I'm welcoming you into the Shine On world, welcoming you into the work with me in exploring what those answers might be. And this mission that I'm on, I call it unlocking people, unlocking you to your potential. I want you to live your best life. I want you to feel like you're living your best life, and I want it to feel fun and not something so deep and heady and hard and that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a breakdown. There doesn't need to be a breakdown for there to be a breakthrough. That's just what I believe. And when people feel lost and in struggle and suffering, it's very hard to imagine a way out. And so I want to explore and open up what those questions are and share them in the format of a clarity map so that you can do it yourself and you can feel empowered in that experience, and also in figuring out what your next move is. So you can feel like you're in alignment and you're moving forward and there's progress, however small. So there's a reason why I want to unlock people. And that is because I feel like if this is in some way murky and cloudy and you're not very clear on yourself, you're lost and you're not at your best and you're not living into your full potential. And we need people to be living into their full potential. We really do. I want to share a little bit of a story about my worldview and why I'm so committed to this work. Quite a few years ago, I was sitting, I don't remember what I was doing, but I ended up on Google. I was looking something up because someone had mentioned that there's this island of garbage floating in the ocean. It really disturbed me. So much so that I was upset. And I was upset for a very long time. And I thought, I can't solve this. I don't know how to solve getting a monstrous island of garbage out of the ocean. And, we're all going about living our lives and we're finding our way to careers and finding our way to jobs and obligations and commitments and responsibilities that if we're not wholly suited for those roles, we're not operating at peak performance. And this is where the breakdowns happen. And I see this massive island of garbage that's floating in the ocean, and I see myself not having a connection to it. I don't have the skill set to fix this problem. But I was debilitated. I know that it was at least a month that I was sleepless and it was weighing on my heart. And I just thought, how come we've let things get to this point and how do we solve this? And I thought, I bet there's someone out there in the world that has the answer, that knows how to fix this problem. And I saw them, I had this snap emotional feeling that, but they're not going to find their way to fixing that problem because they're going to just navigate the education system or navigate their way into a career because they had a competence in a certain area. But they're the creative problem solver that if they were to be unlocked and opened up to a bigger possibility for their life, they could solve that problem. They could mobilize the right people and the right resources, and we could get this mass of garbage out of the ocean and give it back to the wildlife that lives there. And so I just started thinking, well, what does it take to get people into roles where they're at their best, at their absolute best, and that's what started me on this journey, was these thoughts. There's lots of different triggers that brought me into this and had me pointing in the direction of creating Shine On as a method, as a system to support these questions, because it's necessary. I feel like it's an imperative that people be unlocked to their potential and to their greatness and live into it and be supported and be in a conversation that's about what all these big possibilities are for their lives and what their competencies are, what their gifts and talents and skills are, and come into alignment with all of that and truly, transform the world and be like all those idealistic phrases, but I just want to live in a better world. I want to live in a world where there's not this massive garbage in the ocean. And that's just one example. I get fired up about a lot of stuff, but that one was the one that kept me up at night for a while. And I thought, I need to be out in the world unlocking people. I need to be illuminating for them the path forward to their potential. Because if they don't find their way there, we're just going to be in mediocrity and in garbage in the ocean and problems everywhere without the people tuning in that can solve them. So And that's not, there's no blame here. It's just like, let's do better. And if we're going to do better, we need to be better and possibly even at our best. So that's the invitation. That's the invitation in, is to achieve that framework, that clarity around what does that look like for ourselves. And everybody's so unique and different, and everyone is welcome into this work, like if you have a mind and a heart and your gut's telling you to do something, that's all you need, you know? So welcome. If you've got those three things, come on in, let's get curious. Let's explore, right? And so I see myself in this narrative, in this conversation, in this experience as a bit of a mechanic. Okay. I understand that there's mechanics to personal inquiry. And in order to actually feel empowered and cultivate your self awareness, which is like at the root of knowing who you are and why you're here and what you're meant to do, and expressing and doing things that have you at your best and contributing to society at this high level, at this great level, to make the world a better place. There's mechanics. It's not so elusive. It's not this ethereal, like, I don't even know if ethereal is the right word, but just like out there, out of reach concept. So I want to bring a process of inquiry in, something that is open, unbounded, that brings you into the conversation with yourself and supports you. And of course, also has you in community with other people that are just as curious and exploring these answers for themselves. Because when we share with each other what we're finding out, we can inspire, and even entertain each other, because this is fun work. This really is. I mean, there's been times where I felt very confronted by it, but other times I felt very liberated and free, in coming to a place where, hey, I really like hanging out with you guys. I really like telling these stories. I really like sharing where my thought process is. And if it can help you in any way to unlock something so that you can figure out what you're going to do next, that's all I want. I want to create that broader impact. And I think that if we have a system, like a method that has a structure that we can all follow, we can all like collaborate around that, and it can become something that elevates everyone, right? And elevates our communities and everything else. um, and like my example about the ocean, we won't have those problems because we'll be mobilized in a better way to treat and handle these things. And those people are out there. I know that they're there, and I'm meant to show up for them and help them unlock themselves and their potential, and bring their best forward. So as I go on and talk about who I am, I mean, that's my why, my big why, my mission that I'm on, how I see the world. Like I said, I came through to this work, from a communications perspective. And the thing that actually really unlocked me wasn't my education. It was my motherhood, becoming a mother. So I just saw myself sitting there one day thinking, these kids, they're blank slates. There's, they're just, they've come here pure and whole, and they're perfect just the way they are, but they know something and they have something to offer. And I just wonder what it is. And I became very mindful of how I fill in the questions and the gaps for them. And that's where this idea of a clarity map came about, was this inquiry. Like, they were curious about things, curious and asking questions, lots and lots of questions. Oh my goodness. And I just had to dial in and say, oh my gosh, I have to be careful about telling them who they are. And I started to reflect on life and how life causes us to understand who we are a certain way because people tell us who we are. Um, it won't take you very long after you've listened to this episode to go out into your world and see how long it takes before someone tells you who you are. And not in the most literal sense, but just people are telling and reflecting and projecting onto you certain um, expectations, uh, let's say, as an example. And they're constantly affirming, reaffirming a certain script. Okay, so there's a story there, there's an understanding of who you are. And so that's where I realized, oh my goodness, like I need to be curious about who these little souls are that have come here to do big things or little things or just be themselves and entertain us. Or I don't know what it is. Everybody has their own journey and their own purpose. But I just became very mindful and very present to the fact that I could be scripting things for them. And I don't want to do that. I want them to be as free to explore and discover for themselves who they are. And I'm here to help shape, like through clarification and through the discovery experiences, to bring it out, to bring out, their greatness and their potential. So there's like a core belief that I have that this kind of self-awareness and self-empowerment can be taught. It can be encouraged and supported. We can have a simple system of processing what's going on in our lives and have it support us and anchor us in times of need. Um, so that's why I created Shine On as an unbounded and experience that's rooted in personal inquiry. It's unbounded because it's questions, it's not answers. There are no answers to be found here. There's just an exploration and an investigation into, this kind of curious experience of who are you, and some support around how to get into personal inquiry. And all that's required is to get curious, and anyone is welcome to this work, like I said before. And even though we do this work alone, Shine On actually invites you to be alone with yourself, but realize the distinction of being alone and being lonely. You're not being asked to isolate yourself. It's a matter of having time with yourself so that you can get to know and go inward. Who is this person that you are, and what's that potential there, and what's the dream that lives inside you? And it's nice to be on the journey in community with others. So it's not an isolation exercise, but it is a journey inward, and then you can come out and share and be in community with us. And so that's what we offer. We offer this experience, and it's a helping, illuminating kind of journey. And what I'm really clear on is that if I'm not offering this experience, I'm not actually offering the help. So as you go through and perhaps you take in the beginner's guide, you're going to see that you have the opportunity to purchase a toolkit. And then if the toolkit is something that is in alignment with what your goals are and how you're going to find your way to this bright future where you're fully, enlivened and inspired and just having this experience of your life at your full potential, right? If you're finding that toolkit helps you and the experience helps you, the experience is a membership so you can be in community with others. And that's all there is to it. You come in to get these tools and come into the experience to be curious. And I hope you'll stay with us for a while. Maybe you'll get what you need quickly and you'll move on, and that will be brilliant. This is about empowering the journey. And if you do a clarity map and you find your way forward and you find what that next right move is for you, I've done my job, and I feel blessed to have had the opportunity to be a part of your journey. And I hope you'll share it with others. But that's my goal, is to show up and help you find your way. And yeah, I'm here for anyone that wants to work with this type of mindset work, like being open and being curious. So you're all welcome. Anyone curious. That's the one requirement. Please be curious about your future, what you want to create for yourself in your life. And I feel like I'm going to be anchoring myself, obviously, into a website. That's the world these days, is you can have your whole business exist as a website. And I'm going to be taking my message out into the world through podcast and YouTube episodes occasionally, and then doing the social media thing. And I love my people on LinkedIn. That's where I started with my professional connections, and I really like that community there too. So I'm going to be going out there with that. And yeah, I've talked about it a little bit. And when we talk about who I work with, it's anyone that needs and wants to be in this kind of work. If you have a willingness, if you have a curiosity about who you are and you're taking responsibility for this exploration, for discovering for yourself what your greatness and your potential is, then come on in and be with us and be in the work. Anyone curious, anyone seeking, anyone willing to do this work is welcome. And when I talk about that, there's an interesting distinction because there's lots of people that have approached me over the years when I've been developing this program, um, and the method and the steps and everything, that they think that I can give them answers about who they are. Um, I cannot. That's not the within the scope of what Shine On does. Shine On helps you unlock um, your potential by getting curious and getting into personal inquiry. So we get into these questions. If at any time the questions get pretty deep, or you need support, you need a coach, a therapist, counseling, any sort of thing like that, then that's part of your journey. And that's, you know, first, you're going to need to engage others to support in that area. For me, it's about the method and the system to support you so that you can empower yourself and find your way. But if you find yourself too far out of alignment on your clarity map along that journey, and the Q&As with me, or the resources and tools that are available in the membership aren't serving you well, then you're going to have to invite in more support from others. And that's just your larger community there. So there's that element. And then there's also the fact of when you're in this curious personal inquiry state, it takes sometimes a lot to get to this point. People have experiences and have come to me in many different channels, I would say, many different experiences, from positive, where they just want to level up and take their life to the next level, to negative, where things have not been working very well, or there's been major breakdowns, disappointments, milestone moments in their lives where they no longer see their future and they're lost or stuck, or something's in the way of seeing that future. And the world out there sometimes tells us that, hey, come here, come here. There's like a little bit, sometimes people call it shiny object syndrome, but there's many ways to find your way to this work. And there is this issue of understanding that the answers are within. So any version of thinking that the answer is external to you and to be found somewhere else in the world is not a thing that I subscribe to. That's not the realm of where I'm working from. So when you're working in clarity mapping, we are going inward, and we're going in to be with ourselves and explore the answers to these questions first by ourselves. And then we may invite others in when we share our clarity map and explore and investigate. Because I know there was a time for me when I was saying, I can't be this person that's like teaching this big method to the world. Like, what, and then I talked to my friends and people that have known me for a long time. They're like, if it's not going to be you, who else would it be? And I laugh because it's so funny, because I am that person. I have this big vision capability, this big worldview, or, I see patterns and systems and things at a very macro level, big, big, big macro. So of course I'm the person that can kind of come up with a system that supports people and makes things simpler and easier, So it was interesting for me to discover that about myself, but I was always going inward first. And that's really important. And I was following my clarity map. And then every once in a while, I'll share bits and pieces, and people would validate back to me, or cause me to question things a little further. But we're always understanding that it's an inside job. right? So that's what we develop here. That's what I'll be developing in support of the Shine On method, are tools that help us unlock these things that are inside of us. We're going digging, we're going excavating. We're going to be doing things to explore internally what's going on. And, you've come fully loaded, brilliant, gorgeous, perfect, complete, with all kinds of good stuff in there. And we want to unlock it and free it onto the world, and, you know, show up in a bright light, to really shine on. So that's what really makes us special and makes us different than other programs, I think. And it's part of your journey to determine what kinds of experiences you want to have. But in this experience, I can promise you, I will not have any answers for you. I will have no answers for you. It's not possible for me to know who you are, but I do promise to have the right questions that will lead to an experience that will unlock something and will help you get further along in your journey. So that's what I pledge, is this continuous exploration and investigation into what the tools need to be and what the experiences need to be to help us unlock ourselves. Um, and this is that willingness and commitment to be continuously experiencing the unfolding of life, and whatever may come. So we're in this journey together, and I'm so happy to be sharing and putting these things out there. This podcast and the YouTube thing is feeling really good. It's only my second YouTube video, but I'm really happy to show up and interact and engage with you this way. And so that brings me to this moment that I had just a few weeks ago. It's been a few years now that I've been working on developing this program, working on what the experience would look like and how I could support in a sustainable fashion. That's, the number one priority is you, unlocking you, your greatness and potential. And can I do that in a positive, contributing way, and have it be sustainable for me? And where, I still get to be mom and wife, and have my family life, and not be hustling 24/7, as they say. I'll let my website do that. And that's why I want to share with you that that's why the beginner's guide is a self-study tool. And so is the toolkit. The toolkit sets you up with your playbook and your phase finder, which you learn about in the beginner's guide, and what clarity mapping is. There's an introduction to clarity mapping that's included in the toolkit. In the reason why it's like that is because you're going to do this on your time, empowered by your choices for how deep you want to go and how quickly you want to go. So I'm leveraging technology, and I'm hoping that my website serves you well. You have the tools and resources there when you want them, when you need them. And then when I come on the scene and I do some Q&A or something, we can have a lot of fun with it, and we can release and unlock things and share with each other what our experiences are. So as long as I am able to create this experience for you in a way that serves you well, I'm going to keep going. There's always that decision of, in a creative process, you've come up with something, you've shared it with some people. It may work, it may not work. My experiences so far with the people that I've shared Shine On with is an overwhelming enlivenment. Like they're just like exactly like what the program's called, but they're shining on, they're bright and brilliant, and they're feeling enlivened and inspired in their lives, and empowered. And I just thought, okay, I have to find a way to get to more people and share with more people. So this is my attempt to do that. And I welcome you here. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for showing up and taking the time to listen to my ramblings on about my dream and my process and all that good stuff. This is a dose of my clarity map for my business. If you're liking how I'm telling this story, you might like then how you'll be crafting and narrating your own story soon. So yeah, launching and campaigning this way to show up and serve with these tools is my mission. I want to be of service to those that are seeking. And you can always let me know how I'm doing. I know that people are very comfortable expressing themselves in the comments of uh, various media. So bring it on. I'm good. I want to be here to serve you well. So yeah, so that's how we're going to be doing it, coming at you with the website. All the resources are there. The blog's going to have different things. Also, I want to, for anyone that's going to invest in the toolkit, I want you to know that the plan is to have the podcast serve your building of your toolkit. The blog will have resources that you can add into your playbook. And just keep going and being in the conversation for yourself and leading yourself through this experience so that you're self-empowered. The most important thing for me here is that you don't feel like you actually need to hang out with me to help yourself, to unlock something, to figure out the next move. So as long as you're feeling empowered and feeling like these tools and these resources are serving you well, I'm going to keep making them. And I'm going to just enjoy your feedback so I can make them better. And that's the goal. The goal is always to just make these experiences better to serve you well at the highest level. So if there's any questions, please just drop them in into the comments and I will be there to chat with you and connect. And one other thing that I'm going to leave you with this last thing, and that is that when I started this recording, I was talking about my why. And I have a big, ambitious dream to impact a really big audience because I feel there's a lot of people out there that are seeking. They're seeking this kind of support and they're wondering, what is this like, oh, self-awareness? What is it to be self-aware? You know, what is it to unlock your greatness and potential? You know, if that's the kind of thing that you're thinking about and you're here, I invite you to learn how to clarity map. Come into this journey and let's make a really big impact. Let's level up and make a better, brighter world for all of us. So the dream is, it's a big one. It's about impact. And I have this idea in my head that I want to say out loud. And that is that I want to reach the goal of having 1 million clarity maps. So I have to say it out loud because it makes me feel uncomfortable and I get the tinglies and all this stuff, but I really feel like the world will be transformed and it'll be an unbelievable place if our young people, our students, anyone seeking, anyone feeling like they're kind of checked out of their life and they're just going through the motions, they want to check back in and they want to take things to another level. If you complete a clarity map, I believe it's going to unlock something for you. So 1 million clarity maps, that's my big goal. I'm putting it out there and I'm thanking you so much for listening. Thanks for being here. We're just getting started and we have so much to offer to invite you into this journey with us. So until next time, shine on and love who you're becoming.